Good morning, comrades. You are listening to WHIV LP New Orleans 102.3. This is your weekly Good Morning Comrade. Today, we have a very special guest, returning champion, actually, from This Is Revolution podcast, and the author of the recent article, The Line Between Politics and Pro Wrestling Has Disappeared. The one, the only, the inimitable, Jason Myles. What's up, my dude? How you doing, man? It's been a while. It's probably been 2 years since you've been on the show.
I think it's been really like 2 years. Yeah.
We talked about the same thing like 2 years ago, because this has been something that you've been on for
4
long
years
time.
now. It's been 4 years that I've been working on this. I had this idea. So I should say, I don't want to say it past tense because I still do it. I don't have the time like I used to, but I make these video essays, and I was up one night doing two things, binge watching this show called Dark Side of the Ring.
Oh man, what a banger.
And I was watching some news thing, and I was watching clips of Trump and Bernie Sanders, and I had felt like Trump and Bernie Sanders and pro wrestling and the Vince McMahon, and I was kind of putting all these things together, and I felt like I knew what the next thing I wanted to do was, but I was kind of burnt out on doing my show that comes on like 4 or 5 times a week.
Y'all are busy boys over there at CIR, man.
Video essays. So I was kind of burnt out, and I had written a script. It was the longest script I'd ever written, because usually video essay scripts are like maybe a couple thousand words at most. And this was like 10 pages. So
you were in the zone, bro.
I was in the zone. And I had
ADHD havers, we call that the hyper focus mode.
That's the hyper focus.
You might have ADHD.
I had something. I definitely had something. And I was like, I want to get this done. And at that same time, someone contacted me that was a viewer of the show that also made films. And so we got together and kind of laid out the idea, and he focused me a little bit more than I wanted to be, which is fine. I like to be a little bit more abstract. And he was like, no, let's make this more to the point. And I was like, okay, this is what you do for a living.
Right. You're the one that makes it all artsy. He's the guy that keep all that stuff together.
I wanted to, I'm too abstract. So we worked on it, and we ended up raising money for it. But we didn't raise enough money so we could have completed it the way we wanted to complete it. So we kind of have to do it at our leisure. Mm-hmm. And so he had come down here to Mexico where I live. And we figured out how we were going to finish it and all the middle parts of it. Mm-hmm. And then he came back and gave me the first cut, which was about 2 hours, and it was super dense. Mm-hmm. And so we're watching it, and he's just waiting for me to say something. And I'm like, maybe we should do episodes. He goes, I'm so glad you said that. Let's do episodes. But I thought it would be like, okay, well then, cut it here, mm-hmm. cut it here in this episode. He goes, nah, man, we're going to need transitions. We're going to need this. We're going to need that. Because if we're going to do episodes, we have to have cliffhangers. We have to have this. We have to have this. So more rewrites, more introductions, more thises, more that's. We finally get an episode up. By this time, I had sold my video essays to Means TV.
Okay, yeah. Wow.
Because I felt like they had a bigger audience, and I wanted people to see them. I was really proud of the work that I did. And I was like, let's get it somewhere where people can actually see it. And when I say sold it, it probably sounds like it's it was not a big deal of money at all.
Oh, big money bags. You have like those bank bags with the dollar signs on them just running away.
No, it was not. There was no Scrooge McDuck going on at all.
You're not dumping in a penny bin.
No, not at all, man. It was enough to. It helped. And it's a cooperative Means TV, so that's nice, right?
And you're doing this not because you can make a bunch of money or whatever, but because it's something you find interesting and that you love to talk about, because it's something that is like, I obsess over this kind of stuff because I've been thinking of the same thing So just to sort of like zoom back,
Yeah.
article is called "The Line Between Politics and Pro Wrestling Has Disappeared." The subhead is "The president has mastered the politics of kayfabe.
Yeah.
Every conflict is a highly profitable skeptical." Now,
yeah,
pardon. That was a little bit of a slip there, but essentially, like we about 2 years ago, you came on this show and we talked about your article on a teenage anarchist, which was fabulous.
Yeah,
and then also your and also this sort of idea of kayfabe in politics. And so can you just, for our audience, just define what is kayfabe?
Sure. Kayfabe is kind of like the magician's code or like a wrestling code or just a vaudeville code. It goes all the way back to vaudeville, where you just don't let the audience in on the trick or the joke, or the bearded lady really has hair glued onto her face, right? The wrestlers, I wouldn't say are necessarily friends, but the outcome of the match is predetermined. And people used to remember back in the day, people bet on these things.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So there's a reason why this stuff is so serious.
Oh, they bet on it again now with DraftKings and all this other stuff. They're betting on it again.
I don't know how you bet on it now. I guess you could, but it's like,
no, they're all of the wrestling. I don't know how much modern wrestling you watch. They're all advertising DraftKings and talking about how you can pick the winner of the Royal Rumble on DraftKings and make a bunch of. It's so crazy, dog.
You know, the staff writer, but I mean, I guess the point is that there's characters that people play. And there's an interplay between these characters. And when I use it in political terms, I also have to let people know that it's not that everything is scripted and predetermined. It's that real situations can be flipped. And and in the article, I give you all the definitions of the words, right? There's heat, there's babyface, there's heel. So a heel is a villain, a babyface is a hero, and heat is like attention.
Yeah, and Donald Trump is the master of heat. Like he's the master so good at it.
Yeah, no, he really is. And that's one of the things I wanted to write about in the article. I wanted to get across was what he does in running up to an election. It works really well for the way we see elections, because this kayfabe stuff works really well in the way we understand elections, because we understand characters, and he's really good at playing a character. And what made me interested in trying to present this with a wrestling, juxtaposing it to wrestling and cable news as well, is because around the time of the rise of cable news, where news is actually becoming this profitable thing, and the merger of pro wrestling with Vince McMahon kind of merging all the territories, and wrestling becoming a national
mainstream,
nationally televised thing that, you know, we grew up watching as young people, was that this is how we kind of understand the world to play out as well, with characters. And there's a reason why people kind of latched onto Trump and people latched onto Bernie. They're both saying things, right? They're both saying real things in 2016. Trump is actually saying things that Republicans weren't saying at the time about how the quote unquote game was played. They both have these really thick New York accents. Queens.
He was exposing the business.
Yeah. So it's like, it feels authentic.
Yeah.
So when you watch these guys do this, you're kind of watching this political kayfabe in a sense. And the way the news media reports it reinforces this. So we can only really understand the world as angels and demons, heroes and villains. Because we are kind of addicted to this interplay. And there's a thing in wrestling called a work, which means it's fake, and a reality means a shoot. So sometimes when these guys are wrestling, they really don't like each other. Sometimes they really do beat the crap out of each other. And that would be a shoot, right? if you're fake punching someone, but you're actually punching the mess out of somebody, or if they tell you beforehand, hey, my neck's sore, when you do the pile driver to end it, make sure, my head doesn't touch. And you purposely make sure their head touches because you don't like the cat, or for whatever reason, right? That's a shoot. You don't want to work yourself into a shoot. So,
and wrestling also plays with that line so much.
Yes. So you don't really know what's real and what's not when it comes to infidelities.
Yes.
When it comes to fourth wall exposure that really happens in the 90s with pro wrestling.
Oh yeah, the outsiders and
right?
Kevin Nash and Scott Hall and
throwing Rey Mysterio against a wall
like a dart.
What am I watching?
What a champ that guy is, by the way, for taking that bump, like his neck on the side of a trailer. Holy crap, dude!
Like that's another term, like taking a bump, right? Like these are all terms that people in show business kind of understand, and these are not terms necessarily people not in show business understand.
Yeah.
So you have a guy that literally walked out of show business, and not just show business, walked out of professional wrestling as well. So he really understands things like taking a bump and what the importance of a pop, which is a crowd roar. Like I think we wrote about it in the art, or I wrote about it in the article about Charlie Kirk's funeral.
Oh my God,
Erica Kirk.
That was a modern professional wrestling entrance. If you ever watched like Triple H or Goldberg or any of these people walk into an arena with the fireworks and all this crazy stuff going on behind him, that is exactly what she was doing on that day. It was so nutty.
So what happens when the world we live in kind of resembles this world of pro wrestling? And that's what the documentary series was supposed to be. So while I was working on episode 1 is up on Means TV. While I was working on that, episode 2, because we have a whole plan. We've storyboarded episode 2, and we're going to start it off with something called the Montreal Screw Job.
Oh man.
So right, I got you right. I got you in.
Oh,
right?
buddy. This so like I have to talk to you about this. This is catnip for me. It's what it is. With these articles, you always have my attention, my dude.
Yeah. So that was this. So episode 2, I'm getting ready to do that. While I'm getting ready to do episode 2, I'm reading. I was vaguely familiar with Richard Montanez, the guy that says he created Hot Cheetos. And I remember an LA Times article that had come out some years ago that said he didn't. So I've went and found the LA Times article, and I read it. Jeff, I'm not lying to you. I read it 6 times. And on the 5th time, I was like, wait a minute. This guy lied about creating Hot Cheetos, and Frito-Lay doesn't care. And no one inside Frito-Lay really cares, because his agenda wasn't necessarily to say, how can I put this? He had a plan with that company, and that company had a plan with him. And that was, can we get you into these neighborhoods that at this point are kind of pushing back on our food that is bad for you?
Yeah, the crappy
food. Unhealthy snacks.
Mm-hmm.
We can get you to sell authenticity on these unhealthy snacks, and we can use you as a community liaison. We don't really care what you say after that. So Richard Montanez was a janitor, and he worked for Frito-Lay back when they would hire janitors directly. Now these multinational corporations hire everything third party. Mailroom is third party, janitors third party. But he actually got a job back in the 70s where they just hired people to be janitors. He worked there for like 20 years. And the CEO came down in the 90s and had some speech about kind of encouraging people to come to management with ideas. And so he had come to management with an idea about targeting a Latin market with some other people. And he did create some things for Frito-Lay, but he did not create Hot Cheetos at all. That was done years before. Bunch of white people. Has nothing to do with ethnic Mexican heritage. But it played.
How disappointing.
But the whole story to me kind of played into something I was working on. So I got an email from Current Affairs that said, hey, because I had wrote, maybe you'll dig this. When Hogan died, I had wrote something for them, and it got missed by the editor. And she had said, next time I'm going to get you in, because I really like that. It was like, I think she said, this is the only time I ever read something and cried. Read something about pro wrestling and cried. So I wrote something about Hulk Hogan, and kind of, there's a way that the wrestling fan base in leftist spaces is really dismissed as like ignorant and kind of lumpen, right? There's this lumpen quality that people just kind of, I don't have the right word right now, but I think it's dismissive and rude.
Which is super interesting too, because if you look at like wrestling fans on Twitter, they're just like as woke as anybody else these days. You know what I mean? They're just like everybody else. They just the sport. And wrestling is basically Broadway at this point in a lot of ways too.
Oh, I like that. It's Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you watch wrestling and you don't see an artistic quality to what these people are doing.
Oh God, yeah.
Especially absolutely. When it comes to being able to like their improvisational skills.
Yes.
If you can't cut a promo is what they call it when you're like yelling at an announcer on a microphone. If you can't cut a promo, you're not going to be a very good wrestler because that's 80% of what you do. The ring, can you cut a good promo? Can you work within the storyline?
Hulk Hogan himself, like as far as like his, at least in America, he did some really cool stuff in Japan. Mm-hmm. But like as far as like what he was doing punches and kicks and boots and a leg drop. It was nothing special at all.
No, it's not. It's not about the actual athlete. But there are some great athletes right now. There's some of the high flying stuff you see. But it's about
we're the golden age in that way.
Yeah. But can you sell a promo? Can you give me storylines?
Can you make somebody feel something? Can you get heat? Can you get heat?
That is
the key question.
That's what it all boils down to. Can you get heat? And certain storylines are going to resonate with people. And this man, Richard Montanez, has a Horatio Alger up from poverty story. He really was a janitor. He really did get an executive position within the company. He never did make hot Cheetos. None of that mattered. And Frito-Lay doesn't care because he got to take this product and litter a neighborhood where diabetes is a massive problem. High blood pressure is a massive problem. Obesity is a massive problem. And, you get to look the other way because he's a good guy and he's doing it for his people.
Yeah.
So I had that as a pitch and just kind of started working from there from some other things that I had written because again, I think now it's like 25 pages of scripts for the documentary series. So a lot of that is like rework.
Don't stop, bro. It could be a never-ending series. This could go on forever.
I would love to finally finish it. Just to see how people react to it. Episode 1 apparently did pretty well on memes. I was really proud of the way episode 1 came out. But I'm also really proud of this article because going to a leftist publication and saying you want to talk about wrestling and you don't want to really shit on people. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because I mean, like it's like you don't want to like wrestling fans are just like any fan of any other sport or whatever or any other kind of entertainment. They just have this because of sort of like the framing of wrestling or sort of like the carny history of wrestling. There's almost like this stigma associated with it, and people are very sensitive towards that, right?
Oh, I think
understandably.
So. Football's the same way. I wrote an article for Damage Magazine, and it took me 3 weeks of convincing multiple editors that this article about Shedeur Sanders was actually about labor. And
he got screwed, man.
He got screwed, but the way I saw it was like this. And you're a football fan.
Oh yeah, Saints fan.
I saw it like, oof, you're a real football fan. I forgot you're from New Orleans.
Yeah, you're a Broncos fan, man. You had a rough one.
I had a rough one. But
I will say this. Look. Broncos fan.
Yeah.
You got as far as you could. Your man, your quarterback left it literally everything on the field.
Everything on the field.
That is all you can ask of a dude.
You can't. You know I mean, the championship game wasn't exciting, but as far as like your team
defense is amazing. That is a great defense.
The team did what they were supposed to do. Like what the Shedeur Sanders thing that I saw was similar to a Colin Kaepernick situation where I felt like, and this has kind of sort of been proven, that there was collusion within the ownership because Shedeur Sanders presented a problem that you're seeing with NIL right now. And that problem is that It's not that he made a lot of NIL money and was going to have weird demands. Or it's not even that his father.
What's NIL mean? What does NIL mean?
Oh, it's the name, image, and likeness. So you can make money in college football now. Yeah. And you can advertise now and make money. So Shedeur Sanders had all these deals. His dad, of course, helped him.
Yeah, it's Deion's son,
But the kid's been in front of a camera since he was, I think, 6 years old. They had a reality show. So and he went to private schools his whole life. So this idea that he's going to show up to NFL meetings and like not know how to act, it didn't really it didn't sit well with me. It didn't resonate because that's just not how the kids ever acted in front of a camera. Right. The thing is that he represents a new type of athlete, and we're seeing some of this in basketball, where because of NIL money and a lot of leniency within rules as far as eligibility, these guys are now going back to school. So remember, we saw dudes, basketball one and done because I have to stay out of high school for 1 year, and then I go to the NBA. We just covered a case on our sports show on This Is Revolution where a kid graduated in 2023. He's back in college in 2026. He's been out of school for 3 years. He's back in college. He actually played in the G League, played in the developmental league, but he's back in college. The NCAA is trying to fight this. But the thing is, if you're an NFL team and you say, I'm drafting Jeff, and Jeff, you go, nah. I got one more.
I can make more money in college, baby. I can make more money with
right. I can go to college and make a bunch of money. Maybe not as much as I make my NFL year, but I can make a bunch of money in college, and then I can come out and maybe play for the team I want to play for, or I can hold out and play for the team I want to play for.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of challenges that ownership doesn't want to deal with certain types of athletes. Shedeur Sanders is one, and Arch Manning is another. These are guys that can kind of call their shots. Arch Manning's uncle called his shot. John Elway called his shot. There's only two people that we can name in the 100 years of the NFL that literally called their shot on where they're going to get drafted.
And owners hate that.
Owners hate that. So you don't need 32. You need 8 to 12 that year that Shedeur came out to say, we're not going to take you. We're willing to take an L on this, and to send a message.
That's a certain kind of class solidarity too. I mean, that is ruling class solidarity. Against, I mean, always. Athletes are millionaires or whatever, but they're working for a living. They're working for their image or their work for a wage.
It's insane to see that. And because, again, you saw it with Colin Kaepernick. I'm not the biggest Kaepernick fan, but
he was a pretty good quarterback for a couple of years. But yeah,
you can't deny that there was collusion within the league, because you're right.
Absolutely.
He was a serviceable quarterback for those years. I mean, he's been out of the game for 10 years now.
Now he has. Yeah. Now it's the ship has sailed.
Again, 10 years of not playing. I'm not saying the guy's not in great shape. It's just 10 years of not playing.
Yeah.
But, and he won a settlement because of the collusion. So we already know that the league will collude when it benefits them. And even if it doesn't benefit them, it would have benefited teams to have Colin Kaepernick running your offense. And they were willing to say, for reasons that we don't want to get into right now, we'd rather not have this man even in the league. And we've all gotten together to say it's a no-go for you because you're making the league way too political. We don't really want to do that, even though we'll go after we settle money. After we settle this discrepancy with you, we'll go and make the league political on our terms, which are a black lady singing the black national anthem.
Yeah, they're going to go woke no matter what, but they want to go woke on the way that they want to go woke.
And we want to do it on our terms. We're not going to do it on your terms
because they want to go woke in the safe way and not the way that they perceive as threatening. Which I don't even necessarily think that Kaepernick was that threatening to.
He wasn't. That's the crazy part, right? Like you got a guy that is doing the most.
He's just taking a knee, man. He's just sitting down on the bench, or he's taking a knee. It's
remember how the knee comes to be. Before he was just sitting out, which I thought was better. It's
you know who did that before?
Who?
Mahmoud Abdul Rauf.
Yes.
Yeah, he did that stuff too in the 90s, and he was, cast asunder in a very similar way, actually, now to think of it,
But Kaepernick made this whole thing because he had a brand to protect. So he's like, well, I'll meet with a Green Beret and we'll figure out a thing I can do that won't piss people off.
Let me show you how safe I can be.
That's not how protest works. But even him being that safe and that brand conscious, he still got ostracized from the league. And that should tell you what kind of league this is. And eventually I was able to get the thing published with Damage about Shador. But it's hard to get, the whole point being, it's hard to get sports stuff published when you're coming from a certain perspective in left spaces, right? And then also on the flip side,
that's a shame. That is such a shame. I think we should be talking about more sports stuff because people are interested.
People like sports.
Yeah. No, I'm not kidding. Like literally, like you do a sports show.
Yeah.
Because you like sports and people watch sports stuff and it's like fun, like that's just a thing.
I think so. I mean, look, I get the issues that people have with sports and spectacle and all that. I get it. I'm not deaf to that. But my whole thing is people dig it. And if we're trying to reach a wide coalition of people, why would you want to shut off so many and kind of, stick your nose up in the air arrogantly at this thing that so many people enjoy? So I definitely talk about it on my show, and I'll write more about it when I think it's relevant, and when we can use sports as a way to tell a broader picture. I think wrestling is one of those things that so many people enjoy and don't think about it kind of beyond just their own personal enjoyment and looking at it and using political figures. I think my goal is it helps people understand someone like Donald Trump, because I do think he does come off like a mystery sometimes to people because you can't really figure out what he's going to do next. You can't look in history books to see, okay, well, this is how fascism works. And the next thing he's going to do is, it's like, no. This guy's operating on a different plane. So let's just look at it from kind of the wrestling standpoint. And this will give you a better idea on how full of it he is.
Yeah.
Right. Let's start there. And B, how you should listen to him when he's riffing, because he's always cutting a promo. Whenever you put a mic in front of him, he's doing
promos and he's doing roasts. Like
all the time, right? That's all he's doing.
I remember when I was watching just like a couple of days ago, and he had like it was insane. I felt like I was going insane. He had Cardi. No, not Cardi. I'm sorry.
Nicki
Minaj. All respect to Cardi B. God bless her. She's actually cool. Nicki Minaj and the Mr. Wonderful, which by the way, my Mr. Wonderful will always be Paul Orndorff. This guy is just the charlatan and fake. This Mr. Tom O'Leary or guy, whatever. He's no Mr. Wonderful. But anyway, it was Nicki Minaj, who is by the way a Trinidadian illegal, I guess you would say, or undocumented immigrant. Tom O'Leary, who is a Canadian Lebanese guy, and Donald Trump. Like that's almost like the beginning of like these three Lebanese, Canadian, Trinidadian undocumented immigrant, and Donald Trump walking to a bar joke, right? Exactly. And like I'm just sort of seeing them just like talking it all the time, and all of a sudden, Cardi B talks about it like she's Donald Trump's biggest fan, and all this other stuff, and then Trump steps up and he's like, wasn't that better than talking to Scott Bessant for like 5 minutes or whatever? And I'm just like, he's just like roasting this dude,
he's like, that's his thing, right? He's like, I'm gonna roast you. I'm cutting the promo. The camera's on me all the times. I'm the center of attention. And what's interesting about that is when he leaves office in 2020, he left office in a bad way. A lot of things got, COVID, Heather Heyer, Charlottesville, very good people on both sides. The parade that he had on a daily basis during COVID, when most Americans just want the president to come out and make them feel safe, tell us what we need to do. And this fool is saying the most insane stuff.
He's just doing a dozens. He's just doing dozens.
Yeah. Stupid Obama did this. And, just crazy stuff.
Oh, this Fauci guy. Come on.
He hated like didn't he have like, you can't stand here during the thing? And
yeah.
It was always something, but by the end, and then you have the large protests that happened in 2020. So by the end, he's kind of it culminates with January 6th, and he's really a disgraced figure.
Yeah, he's finished.
And the only thing that really helps him come back is the Democratic Party.
Yeah. Only the Democrats could do this. Only the Democrats could ever do this.
He's done. Nobody wants to talk about him. Fox News can't sell stories about him anymore. Left media can't sell stories about him anymore. He wasn't
a factor anymore. He was over with.
I thought January 6th would have been the nail in the coffin, because for a lot of people that even voted for him at that time, it was kind of like, damn, dude, it wasn't just like you said, go storm the Capitol, but you just weren't even there.
Yeah.
But
y'all go do it. I'll be over here.
Yeah, I'll be over here chilling.
And then do a weird video saying like, actually, don't storm the Capitol. Later on in that day, he did a weird video about that.
So much. And he's swapping back to caring about the election of 2020. But the thing about that is the Democrats leave this door open because the entrepreneur in the White House, who was Donald Trump, they're telling you, well, our economic policy is entrepreneurialism. You Negroes can do crypto, can't you? Remember Kamala Harris?
I remember that. Yeah. Oh my God.
So, and we're going to dump, gajillions of dollars. It was like $500 billion in all these incubator programs and startup funds and foundation money.
Anything but help working people.
So the answer becomes reparations through entrepreneurial uplift. And that is their solution to 2020, right? And that left a real sour taste in a lot of people's mouths, and it gave Trump a door to come back into, also because our political imaginations are filled with characters. Yeah. So there was no character that was going to fill that role either. He has a lot of personality. He's also been in the public imagination for over 50 years.
He was like Studio 54 guy.
Oh, dude.
He's been around
forever. So it's easy for him to walk back in after he was kind of done. And as he walks back in this time around, it's a little more glamorous than it was even the first time around. I don't know if you remember when John Jones had won like a UFC thing. He was doing the Trump dance with Trump in the front row.
Yeah. He's at every UFC now. Everyone. They're going to do a UFC at the White House.
White House. Yeah. So he's ingrained himself. There's this thing he knows how to do better than anyone else. And this comes from wrestling. And this is why this is important. If wrestling is entertainment for the common man, Trump learned the language of the common man.
Exactly.
The mannerisms of the common man. And he's able to perform that in a way that no one else can, because the Democratic Party is still kind of entrenched in a certain kind of professionalism. And I talk about that in the piece as well. And Trump is kind of an end to this idea of PMC professionalism.
Absolutely. And Democrats are always talking down to people in a way that people feel talked down to. Mm-hmm. And one of the things about wrestling is that they're actually very good about like doing that same exact thing, but hiding that hand. They're able to hide their hand and make it almost. So I was a school teacher for a lot of years. And one of the really important things that you would do when you're trying to teach kids something or whatever is to lead them to the conclusion and have them actually, figure the thing out. And when it's Democrats, it's just like, explain, and it's honestly from literally like a pedagogical standpoint, it is so much stronger than what the Democrats are doing. It's crazy,
which is nuts. And this is a reason why it resonates, and it can only resonate. And I do write about this in the piece. It really works running up to an election. It's real hard to govern that way, especially when you don't have a real ideology.
Right.
And there really is no ideology behind Trump except for Trump, right? Mm-hmm. And so the kayfabe politics has been disastrous. We're gonna doge bureaucracy because bureaucrats stopped me the first time through. So I don't want these people that are more beholden to things like the rule of law or the Constitution than me. So let's eliminate these positions. That makes government extremely inefficient. But he kind of was able to do it until the air traffic controller thing happened. And then it's like, maybe there's some problems. And then he does okay, well, look over there. I'll do something else crazy. And 2026 has just been kind of this series of, oh my God, how many more crazy atrocities can you do? Where, he ends the year bombing these fishing boats in the Caribbean for really no good reason, kicks the year off with this Venezuelan invasion that doesn't make any sense. There's not outside of a small amount of people that live in a small amount of a state called Florida, nobody was really asking for a Venezuelan invasion. So you take out the president of Venezuela. American people aren't very thrilled about it. So it's like, well, look over here in Minneapolis. There's
we're gonna invade American cities. Like
you're gonna invade American cities. But also remember that he kicks off the year doing that as well. It wasn't working out well for him in the bigger cities. He was getting a lot of pushback. Everything he did the first time around was extremely unpopular. We can't forget kids in cages. He wanted to do migrant caravans, and actually Stephen Miller was one of the persons like, we can't do this on a federal level. It gets done on the state level. And that kind of helped him in 2024. Those caravans really did cause insane turmoil in those cities like Chicago and New York and Los Angeles. And it really helped in the election. But some of the things that they campaign on as well, like DEI, they've backed out. They dropped their lawsuits against the schools and DEI. We're seeing a different posture now in Minneapolis. And I'm not saying he's going to stop wholeheartedly. And I'm not saying he's a dude that, reads the tea leaves and listens to the people. He does understand when he's not popular.
Yeah.
And that really does mess with him more than anything.
He can't stand it.
He cannot stand
it.
Right? The Nobel Prize
God. Yeah. Like literally, like you would think that like it's not that far of a walk to think like, oh, we're gonna like displace the president. We're gonna kidnap the president of Venezuela because I didn't get the Nobel Prize, and this lady who was just gonna like completely bend both of her knees and like be the most like pathetic, like bend over backwards like figure for him like in the public eye, and he would and he's still and nobody respects a person like that. This is the funniest thing about it, is that like this Machado lady who won the Nobel Prize, who's like literally just an anti-communist, like anti-Maduro, like essentially like critic of the government.
Yeah.
Nobody respects that person when they just sort of like debase themselves to such a level that they are just like, oh yeah, I'll just give you my Nobel Prize. And Donald Trump treats her accordingly. Like,
yeah, and he took the thing, right? He took it.
Yeah, like that's mine. By the way, we're not going to make you the president of Venezuela. We don't give a crap about that. You act like a freaking dirt, like bending your knee. We're going to treat you like that. Like,
oh man. Pathetic. It was crazy to see all that transpire. But, one of the things that this administration has cut is SNAP benefits. Yeah. The amount of money they're spending on these ICE occupations, there's your SNAP benefits right there. It's one of the, I can't remember if it was a congressman, I can't remember who it was, recently pointed out that the amount of money that they're spending on these ICE raids, they're not even, I call them occupations. These ICE occupations, that's the money that could have went to SNAP. So all the bureaucracy that was trimmed didn't save any Americans any money. The government is less efficient, and the benefits that they cut with SNAP were blowing through it with all this ICE money, and they're not really doing anything.
Dude, ICE is funded to the level, and I'm sure you know this, but just for our audience, ICE is funded to the level of like more ICE, just ICE, not
Just
like
nice.
cops, not just anything. They're funded more than most militaries in the world. It is insane how much money goes in there. And again, the Democrats, we talked about them a little bit ago, and how the only person that could ever like allow this to happen is the Democrats. They're constantly doing this sort of like, okay, we actually do need to give ICE more money for trainings or whatever. It makes you feel like you're insane for being critical of them at all.
That's the professionalism aspect of it.
Oh my God. They're keeping like the Democrats are keeping the kayfabe up. The Democrats never stop. They are diehard, never let that kayfabe drop.
That's the thing we have to remember about this. This works and shoots, right? Kayfabe can only happen if there's reality going on. It's not just a stage play. There's also real things happening that are at work here. It's works and shoots kind of working in unison. And what's interesting about the Democrats and saying things like, well, if these people had more training, it's like, well, are you going to cut the funding budget? Because the funding budget got increased kind of exponentially.
And y'all voted for that shit too.
Yeah, y'all voted for it. Are you going to change this jurisdiction that they have? Are you going to change the policies? Because right now policies are ping-ponging on how people are getting deported. Because I think a big reason why people are so shocked at seeing all these deportations is because you're seeing green card holders be deported. And that's probably hard for a lot of Americans to understand. You're also seeing people that had what's called protected status being deported as well. Now, Joe Biden got rid of some people with protected status. He's got rid of tens of thousands of Haitian refugees that had protected status as well. So it's not like we haven't seen this happen, but
especially considering all that we have done to Haiti over the years.
Oh my God, just the West in general in Haiti, right?
That's a Pascal question, though, I guess.
Yeah, that's don't get him started, or get him started. If you want to do an episode with it, I'll
man, I would love. I've never met Pascal. I'd love to talk to Pascal.
Oh yeah,
he's cool, man. I like him.
But if you think about like the numbers and the strategies to get those numbers, that's kind of what I'm talking about with this idea of kayfabe. It's like those numbers weren't Gestapo-like troops going in homes and millions of people getting deported. It's also telling people that they have to go home, that cross the border, and you count that as a deportation. So that's where those millions are coming in. And if you think, I see this on social media. I don't know if you see it as well, where people want to have memes where it's like, oh, ha, Trump, you don't have the numbers of Obama or Biden. It's like, no. It's not about numbers at this point. It's about brutality.
Exactly.
And if you're thinking it's about a count, if it's about a contest, you're kind of missing the point.
Because I mean, like we're both against the count. Like the count is bad no matter what.
Yeah,
it's like the count is bad, but also the fact that they're just like coming at people like dragnet, knocking on people's doors. Oh, you're brown. Get in the fucking paddy wagon. You know what I mean?
Snatching them out of their car in some cases. Yeah. It's super frightening. Getting the wrong people. They snatch.
It's designed to get terror. It's like designed to put terror in the zeitgeist and scare the crap out of people.
It is designed to scare the crap out of people so you don't get 2020, right? But what ICE is going to be used as is the anti-2020 police force that you hope doesn't give you a Kent State situation, but you got Kent State
happening over and over again now.
Over and over, and either people are dying in the facilities, or you have these people being shot. And so one of the things that this administration is doing, which again is kind of like, wow, this guy just fails so masterfully. He went to the whitest state in America, or one of, and managed to get his white officers to shoot white people. So you're not going to have 2020. You're going to have something worse.
Yeah.
People came out in freezing weather in Minneapolis to protest to get ICE out.
For weeks.
That should say something to how unpopular this is now. And now we can't now it's not being racialized like 2020 was.
Yeah, they shooting white people, bro. They shooting white ladies.
No, it's a little different now because you didn't even racialize it.
Dude, I'm old enough to remember when they would, obviously, they would have lynchings when a white woman was under threat, and now they're shooting white women in the street.
Now they're shooting white women for just, looking liberal. Yeah. So he's worked himself into a shoot, and the way he's trying to get out of the shoot is to buy, more shoots.
Yeah, just going harder and harder, double down over and over again.
I'll double down.
Turning up the heat. He's turning up the heat. He's finding ways to get even more heat. It's crazy.
But what pisses me off, and what kind of was firing me up as I was writing the article, was that the news is feeding on him in 2026, I think, way more than it was before. And I have that quote from the president of CBS that said, Trump may be bad for America, but he's great for CBS. I think that is now the mantra that maybe everyone doesn't want to say out loud, that right now Donald Trump is the greatest thing for any sort of viewership. If we talk about, we live in this a world of a non-monoculture, right? Everybody has their own algorithms. There's a few things that break through everyone's algorithm, and Donald Trump is one of them.
Exactly.
Right? And I think he loves being eternal. So this is where everything gets frightening because go ahead.
I would even push it to like a step further and say that media, considering like Les Moonves was the CEO of CBS.
Yeah.
What's going on at CBS now? Media is adapting to him.
Yeah.
And essentially becoming essentially megaphones for the existing politics. So like Les Moonves, he's some cold-eyed, dead-eyed liberal or whatever that's only cares about money. He's now replaced by Larry Ellison and Barry Weiss, all these freaks who are literally there to just push his agenda. And that is what media is turning into.
That's kind of frightening. On one hand, even independent. What gets me more is independent media's constant Trump coverage. Yeah. Because there are things you can be looking at, and we can talk about maybe his decline if you really want to. If your job is to kind of grow some sort of left or give people hope. But there's something about, I wrote something new about this. I call it horrortainment, kind of like true crime and stuff like that, where
porn. It's basically porn.
It's a kind of, I call it the poverty porn.
I don't necessarily I'm using it as a way to sort of maybe it's not fair to porn here, if you know what I
mean. No, that's why I call it horrortainment. I think there's, Ben said that, but my buddy Ben Burgess, who lives by me, we were out one day.
Ben. We love Ben. Shout out to Ben.
Shout out to Ben Burgess, and give them an argument. Great show. He had
multiple time guest on this show, actually.
Oh, he's been on here. Okay.
It's been years. I haven't talked to Ben in a long time, but yeah, he's been on the show 5, 6 times.
Well, I'll remind him because I just had breakfast with him this morning. But he had mentioned the word horrortainment, and it just kind of stuck with me. And so I wrote this essay recently, kind of using Soft White Underbelly. You've ever seen that YouTube channel, Soft White Underbelly? Yeah. See,
I'm not familiar.
You're not familiar? You are familiar? You're not familiar?
I'm not.
Good. It's a pretty big YouTube channel. It's these black and white videos, usually with streetwalkers or pimps or drug addicts, and they're giving these confessionals. The guy has a studio literally on Skid Row, and he brings people in and just his whole mission was, I want to show a side of society that most people don't see. And I think there's good intentions in that, but what happens when that kind of becomes just your work? What happens when these stories get commodified? At a certain point, I don't think that society is blind to the individual tales. I think the way the individual tales are portrayed, they are portrayed as individual failings. So you can't really see systemic problems as much as you see individual failures. So you can't really look at solutions beyond, well, let's just give Dope Fiend X rehab money, or we'll do a GoFundMe for them, and that'll get them out, and we'll fix that person's problem. But looking at it as a greater homelessness issue, that's too heavy of a lift. And
I'm just scrolling the page you just mentioned. I'm just looking at the thumbnails, and they're just everyone is a glam shot too. It's crazy.
Yeah, he
every
does
thumbnail is a glam shot.
Making them glam. The guy's a photographer, Mark Leda. I can't pronounce his last name, but they're beautifully shot. They're very, very intriguing videos. You can find yourself watching one, and then you'll watch like 5 more. It's one of those
into the rabbit hole you go.
Into the rabbit hole of horrortainment. And I'm not saying this because I'm better than people.
Oh no.
I've spent I'm 48, so I think when I was like 11.
These are people. They're people
I worked with, right? I worked actually with the homeless community in the Bay Area where I'm from. So for me, it's a little traumatic,
kind of gross. Yeah,
right. Like it's I don't know. It's traumatic for me. But on this flip side, when I watch stuff like this, I go, I don't think the guy that makes this is necessarily a bad person per se, because I don't think he goes into this with like nefarious intentions. But this has spawned more shows where people are just running up to really drugged out streetwalkers in their city and throw a camera on them, like, hey, tell me a horrible story. And you're a different kind of pimp at that point, and you probably don't think you are, because these usually women are serving up private parts of themselves for consumption, and then you're discarding them. Then you're on to the next story because you have a content demand to meet. And you think you're shedding light on something. It's like, look, man, most people know where the blade is, or the host roll, whatever you call it, in their neighborhood. So it's not like people don't think these people exist. Everyone knows they have backstories, and those backstories are tragic. But are you trying to help end this suffering for individuals, or are you trying to change a paradigm in society when it comes to poverty? Because this show ain't it.
Or are you just trying to make money? Like,
I think the derivatives might be more on the trying to make money side, because you can, convince yourself you're doing something.
Yeah. And again, it's not like this guy's intention is to be, bless you. It's not like this guy's intention is to sort of like take these people's stories and, but just it is really just like a and I hate to be like, oh, it's the culture that's messing everything up or whatever, but like we do live in a capitalist society, and if you do, I mean, like you and I both do media, we know that we're going to respond to stimuli that could potentially make us money or make it that we're successful, and that's not always something that is about primarily humanizing people, or it does come with a lot of trade-offs, I guess you could say.
Oh man. And the big thing is you're commodifying emotional pain, and I'll even go further. You're pimping these people in a different way.
Yeah.
The vulnerability is the same, right? The pain afterwards is the same, because they just expose themselves for like $20. And there's been a few people that have come on the show where they've their story kind of resonated with people, where people started GoFundMe's for them. And then the guy, and even the people say this, he gives them all the money. He doesn't keep any of the money. If someone says, hey, we want this money to go to this subject you talked to, he goes, okay, and he gives them the money. I believe that in my heart, that he probably just gives those people the money. But again, it's like, also, these cats never really had structure in their lives. What do you think they're going to do with that money? It's going to be gone pretty quick, dude.
Yeah.
So it creates kind of this perpetual cycle, and you don't really see systemic failures. You see individual failings. Like I saw something in it's the New York Post, so you take it with a grain of salt. And even if it's a joke, it was real depressing to me. It was like this woman, was a wife for all these years, and now to pay the rent, she's a 73-year-old OnlyFans creator. And my first thought was, this is the dystopian future that science fiction tells you about, because at 73, you're saying that there is no funding anymore. Like Social Security doesn't do it. The prices are too high. The social safety net is broken. And the only thing you have at 73 is just your body. You know,
yeah,
now
it's heartbreaking.
Show those knockers, Nana. That's what you're going to do at 73. Yeah. That should be not just because the person's 73, but because that's a point in your life where, you know, you get to enjoy the last part of it. You're supposed
with dignity. With dignity.
With dignity. Mm-hmm. And this is, you know, again, if it's a joke, I don't think it's funny. Yeah. She wouldn't be the only one. And man,
that just made me think of Mae Young. Oh my God.
Go back to wrestling. How long did Mae Young freaking wrestle?
Yeah, and not just wrestle.
She was taking crazy bumps.
Not just taking crazy bumps, but like taking her clothes off, 70-something-year-old lady, taking her clothes off and dressing all sexy and dancing like she's sexed up and giving birth to a hand and all this other kind of crazy stuff too.
And you ask yourself, like, why does she have to do this? It's like, because they shoot her up and they spit her out, and she didn't have anything, right? At the end. I'm not going to get
wrestling is really just like a microcosm of capitalist society. I mean, it really is. It so is. We can talk about this for days, and I hope you will join me to talk about it a little bit more, because I think it's just like a endlessly fascinating. Just dig deeper. I mean, like, we didn't even mention on this episode that, like, wrestlers, and I mention this every time that I possibly can, are independent contractors. They have to pay for their own health care. They have to pay for their own travel, all this other stuff. There was an attempt in the 1980s for wrestlers to form a union. Shout out to Jesse Ventura, one of my favorites. You know why I love Jesse? He had the coolest line when he would go on commentary. He would always cheer for the bad guys, the heels. And he had this great line where he would say, you know what I always say, Gorilla Monsoon? Win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat. You know, like that. I love Jesse Ventura, and he's like he's very cool. Like, he was out there leading a protest with high school students.
Yeah,
at a high school that he went to in Minnesota. Yeah. Like, in the middle of all this crazy stuff happening out there. I love Jesse Ventura. I don't know. It's just like
he apparently lives down here somewhere. I'd love to run into him randomly. No, I think I watched that interview with him where he called Donald Trump a punk white boy. Yeah. Rich punk white boy didn't have to go to serve like me and my friends did.
Yeah. He had bone spurs. Bone spurs.
He went off, and I'm like, okay, well, we got the next governor of Minnesota. He said he got 1 year left.
Yeah,
Amy Klobuchar better hitch her train to that wagon.
Get on notice there, Amy Klobuchar. He's gonna start cutting promos on her.
Dude,
that is like the other side of it too. By the way, if it like I don't want to put like all my hope into one person or whatever, but like that, like Jesse, at least to a certain extent, and we do got to get out of here. Yeah. But like, he is kind of proof that this sort of like lack of kayfabe, or this sort of like deterioration of the kayfabe, can potentially kind of cut both ways, but you need to have people that are actually knowledgeable enough and willing to play that game. And most of the Democrats are not there.
There's a young man in New York, Zoran Mondani.
He plays the game.
I think he plays the game. I think he's the way that you break through. I kind of mentioned that towards the end of the article, that the way you win is by actually providing real, concrete initiatives for people. If you're campaigning on something, you make that happen. People don't care.
He's a baby face.
He's a baby face right now, and he's doing a good job. You know, again, knocking on wood. He's got a very tough road to hoe. But what I'm seeing, the energy, what I'm hearing from people in New York, that's how you cut through this, and you kind of get back to what you not even get back. You get to where you want to be, where this stuff is more people driven and not personality driven.
100%, 100%, and really, again, just to sort of like to sort of like torture this a little bit, the heels are always the personalities, and the baby faces are always the people behind them. Like, there's a lot of people that would say like, oh, John Cena or Hulk Hogan or whatever, they're boring as a baby face because they don't do anything or they don't have any personality. The whole point of them is to have them be a cipher for people.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. No, Hulk Hogan was great at it when he had his moment. Yeah.
Yeah. So Sting, oh, God, what an incredible babyface Sting was. I love Sting.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Jason Myles, where can we find you? Where can we find your article? And where can we find all the things that you're doing? I really love your work. I really do. And I'm honored that you would have a conversation with me tonight. So,
well, I'm honored that you want to take the time to talk to me. I really am. It means a lot to me. So thank you. You can find it all at thisisrevolutionpodcast.com. You definitely can find it on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. I also write a weekly newsletter that's on our Patreon. So it was at patreon.com/BitterLakePresents. Just look for This Is Revolution Podcast. You'll find it. It's pretty easy to find. But Patreon is where I keep everything. I do a Substack. It's for free. And usually it's stuff they're older stuff that I've already put on Patreon. So if you want to find out where we're writing, it's there.
Well, brother, thank you so much for coming on the show, and to many more conversations in the future.
And read the article. Sorry, and read the article. It said that we're talking about current affairs. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, the article is called "The Line Between Politics and Pro Wrestling Has Disappeared" by Jason Myles. Yeah, check it out in the January-February edition. Thank you, bro. I really do appreciate it. You were listening to WHIV-LP New Orleans 102.3. This is Good Morning Comrade. We love you. Bye-bye.
NOLA. Yee!